What's going on, guys? John Elder here from codemy.com, and in this video, we're gonna build this cool little CRM tool with a tree view and a database for Tkinter and Python. All right, guys, like I said, in this video, we're gonna build the CRM tool using a tree view and a database. But before we get started, if you like this video and want to see more like it, be sure to smash the like button below, subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm, and check out codemy.com, where I have dozens of courses with hundreds of videos that teach you to code. Use coupon code YouTube1 to get $30 off membership. That's all my courses, videos, and books. One-time fee is just $49, which is insanely cheap. All right, in the past, in this playlist, we have worked a lot with databases, both the SQLite Database and the MySQL database. We've also done a lot of stuff with tree views. So that tree view is this thing right up here, with the striped D things and all the data in it. In this video, we're gonna combine those two things together, and we're gonna use a tree view, but we're gonna pull the data from a database. So I get a lot of questions about this. Hey, how do we use the tree view with a database? And that's what we're gonna do in this video. So this is probably gonna take a couple of videos because this is a big app. There's a lot of stuff going on here. You see, we've got a bunch of data here. If I click on something, it pops up here. We've got Aaron. If I put Aaron E, I don't know, Ernie, and we can come up here and click update. You can see, boom, it changes to Aaron E up there. If we want to click on it again and change it back, we can do that. If we want to click on Tim, we've got Tim Tanaka. If we want to add this record, we can click it. And we can see down here at the bottom, Tim Tanaka has been added. If we want to remove him, we can, let's see, where's it at? Remove one, boom, it disappears. So all the different things we can do, and we're gonna dive into this in this video. So like I said, this is likely to take several videos because there's a lot of stuff going on here. So let's dive right into it. So head over to our code. I've got the Sublime Text Editor and the Git Bash terminal as always. And as always, you can find a link to the code in the pinned comment section below, as well as a link to the playlist with almost 200 other Tkinter videos. So definitely check that out if you haven't so far. And like I said earlier, we've done a lot of stuff with databases and a lot of stuff with Treeview on this playlist. So if you check back in the playlist, you can find half a dozen or so videos on the Treeview. So if you're not real familiar with the Treeview, maybe go back and watch those. I'm gonna fly through it very quickly in this video because there's a lot to do, and I'm just gonna assume you sort of already know about the Treeview. I mean, I'm gonna still write out all the code and you'll be able to see how I do it, but I'm not gonna spend a lot of time talking about it. So go back and watch those videos if you're a little bit confused. So I've got our basic Tkinter starter code that we always have. And the first thing I did was from Tkinter import TTK. We need the TTK library in order to do a tree view. So we just go ahead and import that. So you see, I've got some bullet points here, some of the things we want to get through in this video. You can see there's a lot of stuff to do here. So I'm just going to dive right in. The first thing we want to do is add some style for our tree view because we want to be able to change the color and the formatting of it. We don't just want the basic tree view. We want to make it look good. So let's create a variable called style. And this is going to be a ttk.style. And the style is a style widget. It comes with TTK. It allows us to do all kinds of cool stuff. So now let's pick a theme. And so let's go style.theme_use. And we just want to use the default theme. And even though it's the default theme, it's not really the default theme. If you just use the regular theme that comes with Treeview, it doesn't look as good. But this default thing gives us some color at the top for our column headers. And we'll see that in a minute. So, okay. So now let's configure the Treeview colors. So let's go style.configure, and we're gonna do a whole bunch of stuff here. We're gonna work on the tree view, and let me put these on multiple lines so we can read it easier. Let's set the background to, and I'm gonna call D3, D3, D3. That's a sort of a gray color, right? And let's go foreground, and I'm gonna set that equal to just black because we don't really see that. And let's go row height. This is going to be how high the rows are. Set that equal to 25. And then finally, let's go field background and also set that to D3, D3, D3. And like I said, D3 is like a silvery color. So, okay, that will set our colors, just the basic tree view itself. We're also going to change it to where there's striped rows, and we'll do that in just a second. So now whenever we click on actually, let me pull this back over. Whenever we click on one of these things, we want a color to appear. See how it's sort of darker blue? So we can do that by using a style map. So let's go style.map. And again, that style is just the style variable, right? And what do we want to do? We want to work on the tree view again. And let's set the background to, and this is a little weird. We use a Python list with a tuple inside of it. And we want to go selected, right? And then set the color. And then for this, I want to go 347083. And that's, like I said, that's that sort of darker blue color because I'm going to use a light blue stripe. And so this sort of dark blue, I think looks good. Use any colors you like though, whatever you like. I just chose that. Okay, so far so good. So now let's create a tree view frame. And the reason why we're going to put our tree view in a frame is because we're going to put a scroll bar on there. You can see here. And scroll bars, as you probably know, they're just easier to do when you stick them in a frame instead of trying to stick them in the tree view itself or stick them in the anything themselves. Much easier just to use a frame. So that's what we're going to do here. I'm going to call this tree_frame. And this is going to be a frame. We want to put it in root. And then let's go tree_frame.pack. And let's give this a pad Y of like 10 just to push it down the screen a little bit. So, okay, that looks good. Now let's create the scroll bar. So I'm going to call this tree_scroll because I'm very creative with these names. And this is going to be a scroll bar. And we want to put it in the tree_frame that we just created right here, right? And then we want to go tree_scroll.pack. And we want to put this on side equals right. We want it on the right side there. And we want to go fill equals W. So that's going to be up and down the Y sort of axis or coordinates or whatever you want to call that. So, okay, now let's actually create our tree view. I'm going to go my_tree. And this is going to be a ttk.treeview. And then where do we want to put this? Well, we want to put it in tree_frame, that frame we just created, right? And we want to give this a Y scroll command of tree_scroll.set. And we'll play with that in just a second. We also want to give this a select mode of extended. Okay, so that looks good. So then we can my_tree.pack this guy. And we don't want to give this any padding because we just want it to be right in the frame. And the frame itself already has some padding to push it down the screen a little bit. So we're good to go there. Okay, so now we need to configure the scroll bar. So let's go tree_scroll.config. And we want to give this a command of my_tree.yView. Okay. So now we want to define our columns. And let me pull this back over here real quick. We want first name, last name, ID, address, city, state, zip code. Again, put anything in there that you want, but we're sort of making this a CRM, customer resource management app. So pretend we're keeping track of customers. What do we want to keep track of? Their first name, their last name, their address. Maybe you would probably put an email address in there if they had email, whatever. This is getting a little cluttered as it is. We'll just keep it like this. So we need to define these columns. So our tree view is called my_tree. So we then set the columns to, and this is going to be a tuple. And here we just sort of name all these. So let's go first name, and then last name, and then we want ID, and separating them all by commas and quotation marks, right? So then what? Address, probably city, state, and let's go zip code. Okay, pretty simple. Now we need to format those columns and say, hey, how do we want to do these? And remember, the tree view has a weird first column that we hide off the side, and that's the 0th column. It's just a weird tree view thing if you remember from our tree view videos. If not, go back and watch those. But we set these my_tree.columns, and then we just define them. And remember, this is that first weird one. It's #0, and we want to set the width of this one to 0, and we want to say stretch equals no. All capitals, no. I don't know. And then, so now we could go my_tree.column. Oh, I misspelled column. It's column, not columns. There we go. And let me just kind of copy this. And we want, so first name, last name, ID, address, city, state, zip code, right? So that sounds about right. And here we just want to go first name. And we want to give this an anchor of west and a width of, I think, 140. And that west anchor, you notice up here, our first name is right up against that side there. That's anchored west, right? This one, we're going to anchor center, right? Center, 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 center. But for this first one, I want to anchor it left, and probably for this one too, just because, I don't know, just to show you different ways to do it, right? So first name, anchor west, width 140. And actually, let me just copy this too and paste it in here. And actually, let's just do it like this. Try and speed this up a little bit. Boom, 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 boom. So we've got first name, we've got last name, we've got ID, we've got address, we've got city. That's not how you spell city at all. City, state, and zip code. Now for ID, we probably don't want it 140. Let's just go 100 because it's just a number, right? And instead of west, let's anchor this center. And so first name, last name, west. I think let's go center for the rest of these too. So let's just boom, knock this out. This and like this. Oh, there we go. And 140, I think that's fine. Okay, so now we've got our columns defined. Now let's define the headings. So you see these sort of gray boxes up here, we need to define those. So let's do that here. We formatted the columns, we create our headings. And very similar, but instead of my_tree.column, oh, I misspelled column again. Look at that. It's heading. And let's see. There we go. N. It's early. Okay, so column is spelled right there. Okay, so mytree.headings. And again, we have to do that weird first one, which is #0, which is just kind of weird. We want the text to be nothing because there's nothing there. And let's give this an anchor of W. And actually, let's just copy this. So first name, last name, ID, address, city, state, zip code. And we could just come through here and go first name and then last name. Here we want ID, address, city, state, and zip code. We are flying right through here. And for the text for each of these, we want the same thing here. So we can just sort of copy this, just type in that one, copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste, and copy and paste. And again, all of these anchors, we probably want to change from W to center. We'll keep the W for the first two, like I said. So what's the main difference between these? These columns, that's the stuff that's actually in the columns, right? And the headers are the ones on top. So they're very similar, but obviously different. So, okay, we got our headings. So now let's add some fake data, and I'm just gonna copy and paste this because we're not actually gonna use this data. Like I said, we're gonna, boom, let me paste this, and we're gonna actually connect to a database. But for now, just to make sure this all looks right, I'm gonna throw some fake data in that we'll use just to make sure everything looks right. And we'll delete all this later once we connect the database. So, okay, now let's create our striped rows. So let's go my_tree dot tag_configure. And here we want the odd rows. So even and odd rows, every other row. We want the background for the odd ones. So let's go background. And we'll set that equal to white. And let me just copy this. And instead of odd row, now we want even row. We want the background for that to be, let's go light blue. And again, use any colors that you want. Okay, so now let's add our data to the screen, left off one. So let's go global, and we're gonna get rid of all of this later when we connect to the database, but for now, we'll just rough this in. So I'll set a count. Let's set that equal to 0. And then let's go for record in data. And that's just what we called our data up here, right? So we want to loop through here. And for each thing, let's go if count modulus 2 equals 0. So this will get even rows. So if the count is even, we want to do a certain color. Otherwise, we want to do the other color. So in fact, we could just go else now. So what do we want to do? We want to go my_tree.insert. And we want to insert parent equals nothing. We want the index to equal end because we want to put each new one at the bottom below the previous one. We want to put it at the end, right? And we want to go IID equals count, which is this guy up here that we just created. We want the text to equal nothing. And we want the values, this is where it gets interesting, to equal a tuple. And here we just want to go a record. And then let me just copy and paste. So we want first name, last name, ID, address, city, state, zip code, I think, right? That sound about right? And then for each of these records, we just give it an index number. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, right? And then finally, we want to give this a tag. So tags equal, and this is also a tuple, and we want to go even row. And then we have to put a comma and nothing, because tuples, even when they only have one thing, they still need a comma in them. It's just a weird tuple thing. So, okay, so this will set even rows, and we know it's even because we use this modulus here. So modulus returns a remainder. So if we took the number, the count, divided by 2, and there was no remainder, so like 10 divided by 2 is 5 with nothing left over. So if there's no remainder, that means it's even, and we can do that just using modulus, basic Python. So here we can just grab this whole thing and paste it in again, but instead of even row, this is going to be odd row. Okay, now the last thing we need to do for this is to increase our count. So let's go increment counter, and that's just going to be count plus equals 1. Every time this loops through here, we'll add 1 to the counter, and then it'll spit out all this data onto the screen. So let's go ahead and save this and run it just to see if this is looking okay. So let's go Python treebase.py. Get it? Treeview with a database, treebase. All right. And so, okay, it looks good. We got our Treeview thing here. We've got our nice scroll bar. We've got striped rows with light blue and white. I like that. We click on something, we get this dark blue. All right, looking good. How are we doing on time? Wow, that took a long time. But let's try and knock out these two bottom things. So if we close this and pull back the regular one here, we want two label frames down here, and we want some stuff in here. And for now, we'll just rough this out. These won't actually do anything just yet, but we can at least put these on the screen. So let's do that real quick. I think we can do that in a few minutes. So let's come down here and add record entry boxes. And I want to create something called a data_frame, and that's going to be a label frame. And we want to put that in root. We want the text to equal records, or record maybe. So that's going to be that record box. So we can go data_frame.pack. And we want to give this a fill equals X to pull it all the way across the whole app. And we want to expand it. So let's go expand equals yes. And let's also give this a pad X of 20 to sort of push it aside from the end of the app. Okay, so that looks good. Now let's just add a bunch of stuff. So we want first name label, and that's going to be a label. We want to put it in that data frame that we just created. We want the text to equal first name. And then let's go fname_label. And let's not grid this. We can grid this because it's inside this frame. Even though the rest of our app, we've been packing things inside this frame, as long as all we do is grid, we can grid inside of a frame. So let's do that. And let's go a row equals 0. Let's go column equals 0. And let's give this a pad X of like 10 and a pad Y of 10, also to kind of push it apart from all the other things. And then let's also create an fn_entry box. And this is going to be an entry box. We want to put it in data frame. And then let's go fn first name dot entry dot grid. And we can just copy this. But instead of column 0, we want column 1. So let me just copy and paste a bunch of these so we don't have to keep doing this. So first name, last name, ID, address, city, state, zip code. So just come through here, and instead of first name, let's do last name, last name, last name, last name. This is going to be ID. So ID, 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 ID. This one's going to be address. So let me just copy this. Boom, boom, boom. Bear with me. Address. This one's going to be what? City. Boom, boom, boom. Almost done. This one's going to be state. Goes by pretty quick. And then finally, we want zip code. Zip code. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, so we've got our first name in row 0, column 0, 1. This one is going to be then 2, 3, and 4, and 5. So we want the first name, last name, and ID on top. Below here, we want address, city, state, and zip code. So let's change the row on these to 1. So 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and 1, 1. And then, so column 0, 1. Now this will be 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and 7. Is there 7? Did we mess up? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, that's right. So let's go ahead and save this and run it. Make sure that looks okay. And it does. It's pushed down a little bit, but when we add the next thing, it'll push it up a little. So, okay, that's looking good. It stretches to the size of this thing because we filled and expanded it. Okay, so we've got a record. Now let's pull up the other one. And we also want commands with a bunch of buttons. So we can knock that out very quickly. Let's add our buttons. And let's create a button underscore frame. And this is going to be a label frame. We want to put it in root. We want the text to equal commands or buttons or whatever you like. And let's go button underscore frame dot pack. And also we want to give this a fill of X and we want to expand it. So expand equals yes. And let's also give this a pad X of 20. Okay. Now let's just add a bunch of buttons. So we want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 buttons. So I'm just going to go underscore button and we'll name these different things. And this is going to be a button. We want to put it in our button frame. We want the text to equal something, no command for now. And let's go underscore button. And let's also grid these. So here, let's go row equals 0, column equals 0. And let's also give these a pad X of 10 and a pad Y of 10. Okay, so what did I say? We needed 8 of those. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And let's pull this guy over again. So we could say we want an update button and an add record button. So let's go update. Let's go add, remove all. So remove underscore all, and then remove underscore 1. And then remove underscore many. I don't know. We'll probably play with these as we go forward. But right now, I just want to get them onto the screen. This one's move underscore up. Move up. This one's move underscore down. Move down. And finally, a select underscore record. Not sure we really need this button, but whatever. And then let's come through here and let's just rough in some text. What do we want these to say? Update record, add record, blah, blah, blah. So update record, add record. This one is remove all records. This one is remove selected or remove one selected. This one is remove many selected. And then move up, move down, and select record. Okay, so let's go ahead and save this, run it, see how this looks. Oh man, they are all scrunched together. That is not good. All right, we forgot to set the column. So let's come up here to the top. So the first one is going to be 0 and then 1 and then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, so let's go ahead and save this. Get rid of that. Run this guy again. All right, so we are looking good. We've got our nice layout all done. We got the Treeview with some dummy data in it that we're going to get rid of once we connect this thing to the database. But it looks good. Now, none of these actually work. When we click on this, it doesn't fill out these fields. This video is getting way too long, so we're gonna have to stop it right here. We'll pick this all up in the next video. But so far, so good. We're looking pretty good here. And after this, we'll just sort of connect this to the database and make all these buttons work. And that'll be that. So that's all for this video. If you like, be sure to smash the like button below, subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm, and check out codemy.com where you can use coupon code YouTube1 to get $30 off memberships. It pays just $49 to access all my courses, over 47 courses, hundreds of videos, and the PDFs of all my best-selling coding books. Join over 100,000 students learning to code just like you. My name is John Elder from codemy.com, and I'll see you in the next video.